Booters, man, what an amazing episode we just did with Daniel Garb and Aaron Zanetti from GG Army. They are the tour group that we are going to the World Cup with, and if you want to find out what we're going to do at the World Cup and what it's like to be an Aussie going to the World Cup, this is the episode for you. We also spoke to Daniel Garb for quite a while after that about his experience as being a Premier League correspondent for Fox Sports and all of his presenter work across the world. He talks about Asia, he covers England, he covers stories on Socceroos that he knew while he was over in England and these intricate stories that he has from being behind the scenes with them there. This is a great episode. Let's get to it now.
Hey, are we going to let the Booters know about our World Cup merch, jerseys, capsules coming?
No, not yet. March 19th, they're coming out.
March 19th?
We don't want to say it now.
Yeah, don't put that in.
Hey,
don't put that in the pod.
They look mad, Jorox, by the way.
Don't put that in the pod.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we start?
Yeah, all right. Okay, ready? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Suited and Booted. I'm your host, Jarogba. To my right.
Lord Mahazi.
To his right.
Number 10.
And we are joined today by two very special gentlemen. To my left, we have the legend that is Daniel Garb. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause, Daniel Garb.
Welcome.
He took a flight to get here, by the way.
That is the status of Suited and Booted right now.
There you go.
Stop it, Garby.
That's what you do. Thanks for having me on, boys. Love what you're doing.
Appreciate it. And to our right, we have a very important man for this episode today. From the Green and Gold Ari.
The ARIA Award.
The ARIA Awards.
Welcome to the ARIA Awards.
Aaron, let's give a round of applause for Aaron. Let's go.
Thanks, guys. Good to be here. I'm excellent.
Mate, thank you for coming on. We have a big show, Jerome, because we're officially going to the World Cup.
We are. But you know what we need to do before then? And this will help us when we're at the World Cup. We need to give 5 stars on Spotify.
Oh,
please.
What you doing?
You stopped doing that, huh? Because we stopped reminding you and you slacked off.
And we're going down the list because of you.
And we're going down a list.
Yeah.
Welcome. That's on the list.
Yeah.
Like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, please. We want to get to 10,000 subs on YouTube, and we're nearly there, so go and do that if you haven't. Check out our Patreon.
Yeah.
I believe this week we're going to have a guest on our Patreon.
Yeah. And it's one of the two here, so stick around and see.
Stick around and find out. Patreon, you'll get more insider knowledge on our lives. Basically, I guess, spill the... my whole life's on there. So if you care about my life and them questioning me about it, it's on there. We also do extra content with guests. Patronis are a different level of Buddha, man.
Yep.
They're just a different level. Guys, how are we?
Very good, man. I'm excited to have these two gentlemen on because you probably are aware, but we're part of our sort of Rashid's genius of creating a bit of a marketing campaign around our dream to go to the World Cup. And then it's how we've landed here. So, yeah, pretty sick.
Well, you've picked the ultimate way to go about it. I mean, the Green and Gold Army is superb, and that's not just because I'm connected to them. Proud to be so. I was with them in Qatar. They are an amazing organisation. What Aaron and Michael Edgley have done, you might want to tell the story of how you started it because it's an awesome tale. But to where they are now, the organisation, the logistics, the experience for Australian football fans is just next level. So I think you boys are doing it the best way possible.
I think, Aaron, for those who don't know, maybe explain what it is. I mean, if you've been living under a rock, you might not know, but and then also how it started.
Yeah, we started way back in 2001. Maybe a little bit similar to you guys. It was a bit of a vacuum that needed to be filled for Australian fans to come together. You know, you guys plugging sort of that media gap. For us, it was plugging a fans gap. The federation at that point wasn't as organised as it is today. It was pre sort of the Lowy days. And we started out selling hats and scarves, but really fundamentally all we were people behind the goals, singing, supporting the Socceroos. We developed a community. It became a bigger community than we thought we could ever develop. And we're like, well, guys, the next stage for us is to actually take our community away to support the Socceroos. So our first organised tour was to the 2007 Asian Cup in Thailand and Vietnam, and from there we've operated tours at every World Cup since. And the US is shaping up to be our biggest one yet. We're super excited for it, and I'm really happy to be here chatting to you guys about what we have to offer and what you guys coming on the trip are going to experience.
So we're officially going with the Green and Gold Army.
Yes,
We are GG.
We are a part of the GG Army now, man.
Yes,
we're
sir.
a part of an army.
It's going to be special for all of us because I believe it's all of our first World Cup.
Yeah, it is.
And there's just a different sense of pride when it comes to supporting the Socceroos, I think. Like, nothing gets me going more. Everyone knows how much I love Chelsea, yes. But nothing gets me going more than supporting Australia at an international tournament. And also, it brings everyone from the different clubs together. And that's what I love. And even all my friends from different ethnic backgrounds, half of our countries don't even make the World Cup, Italy. But it brings us all together to support like a common cause. And I love it. And I cannot wait to get over there, especially against a certain opponent.
You mean in Seattle?
Yes, that game. That game. But yeah, I can't wait. And I feel like Green and Gold Army is just going to be full of people with the exact same mindset as me.
How many have you guys been to? How many World Cups have you guys been to?
I've been to every World Cup since 2006. In fact, I might be one of the only people in Australia to say that I've seen the Socceroos score every goal they've ever scored at a World Cup.
Wow.
That is the biggest flex.
Yeah.
Big flex.
I've been to all after 06. I missed out on 06, but South Africa, Brazil, Russia, Qatar, most of them in a media capacity working, and now a mix of Green and Gold Army hosting alongside Simon Hill and John Kuzmina. And
what a crew.
I'll do some media work alongside it, of course, but predominantly there as an MC with the Green and Gold Army. So this will be my 5th in a row, which is wild to think about that. As someone who grew up being tortured by the Socceroos failures, right? Like Iran 97 still gives me nightmares, as I'm sure it does for so many.
Yeah.
Yet this will be my 5th World Cup in a row, and there's nothing better. Like, I've been lucky to go to so many sporting events around the world. I say this honestly, this is not putting mayo on it. If you like Australian football and the Socceroos, there is no better sporting experience you can have than watching the Socceroos at a World Cup. I say that unequivocally. It's not just going to the game, it's everything around it. Arriving in a new city, rubbing shoulders with the opposition fans the night before, singing songs with them, and then the march to the game. The army is the best term for it, because you'll end up walking like with 1,000 people at least to a game, all wearing green and gold, representing your country, and the entire world is about to watch your country sing the anthem and then play on the biggest stage in world sport. It is just the most ultimate of sporting experiences.
Oh,
wow, man.
Well, I feel like if I see another Aussie in Bali, I'm like, hey, bro, imagine what I'm going to feel like when I see him in the US. Right?
Oh, man.
So, Aaron, can you tell us, like, the rough numbers of people you're expecting on this Green and Gold Army tour, and maybe historically from like when it first started out, like that jump in numbers, how it's developed?
Yeah, so I think first tour we had to the Asian Cup, at the time, the 2007 Asian Cup, I think everybody had in their minds that it was going to be like the Euros. That's what we thought it was going to be like. And so there were a couple of thousand Australians who did travel to Thailand and Vietnam for that tournament. I think we had maybe 120 people on that tour. And it's grown steadily ever since. Obviously, Qatar, the numbers were smaller because we were still coming out of COVID and you had to get a test to get into Qatar at that point. And the accommodation was quite constrained. But for the US, this is by far going to be our biggest tour. We've already got about 450 people confirmed on the tour.
Wow.
And that's before really anybody knows that they've got tickets. The ballot results are coming out on after the 5th of Feb, but probably near to the 5th of Feb. So once that comes out, people find out they got tickets. We're anticipating another sort of flood of bookings. So yeah, it's going to be our biggest tour, and we've secured sort of the event venues to host up to about 1,000 people.
What's up, Booters? Just a quick pause in this episode to let you know our great friends and our major apparel partner, Armadura, We are absolutely loving their gear. If you have not heard about them before, they are making the best gear in the NPL, not just on the field, but off the field. They make an identity for your club with whatever your club's history is, wherever it's from. They have identity, they have fashion behind it, and they look the best, don't they, Rashid?
Yes, they do. Well, look at me. This is Armadura as well. Link in the description below. Click it now if you want to get in touch with Nick and the people at Armadura to help you out.
You look like Will Smith in Men in Black.
They're the best people there, man. Anyway.
And Neo.
Let's get back into the episode. So you're expecting 1,000 people to be on the tour?
Look, we'd love to have 1,000 people. That's sort of been our aim. I don't know whether we'll get there, but that's what we're setting up for.
Damn. Buddhist, man. Come on. Get along with us because it's going to be sick. So what fascinates me about this is that, like, obviously from our end, we're very fortunate to be coming. Like, everything's already organised. Like, so we know kind of where we're going to be, what's going on. Who's doing that and when are they doing that? Because I believe, like, I saw a video of you outside of, is it Levi Stadium?
Yep.
In San Fran. It's like you've already been over there and kind of seen what's going on.
Yeah, so the process for us started more than a couple of years ago. So we've got a process that we go through. Obviously, it's not our first rodeo, but the idea for us is to select the best local ground operator to work with, which we've done. Our ground operator is organising the travel for the US men's national team family and friends. So, you know, we've got that calibre of local ground operator.
So
you've
signed like Lionel Messi of the ground operators.
Exactly. And exclusively. No,
it's the LeBron James of soccer.
But that's a process, yeah. So we have to go over there sort of 3 years beforehand and meet with 10 or so of these types of local partners to select the right ones with us. So that was the first step in the process. And then, obviously I got over to the States at the time of the draw, because that's when we start putting all the logistics together. We start putting the itinerary together, what cities we're going to visit, how we're going to structure it to make it, what we pride ourselves on. Obviously, we're there first and foremost for the football. But, Garby will tell you this. The World Cup is, it's not just about the football. It's the people you meet, the local cultures that you uncover, the local people that you befriend. And we really tried to create an itinerary and inclusions to allow you to do that.
Wow, man. It's pretty cool. Garby, as like a fan, what is it like, I guess, game day, the feeling around the hotel? You mentioned like on this tour, obviously Cozzy and Simon Hill are coming, but I know previous tours has been formal media, informal media, players' families, I think in the past have been a part of the tours, right?
Yeah, so for Qatar, we organised all the travel for the players' families. Yeah. We're not doing it this time, but we did it for Qatar.
So what's that like from that side of it?
So the best thing about the Green and Gold Army is they are pure Socceroos fans, and that's how it was formed, and that culture still runs through the organisation. So you're around people who love the national team and are pretty well-educated football fans. So everyone on the tour, you just get to enjoy talking football with, and everyone will be analysing the team in the lead up to the game, who's going to start, who's not going to start, the opposition teams. Like you're around everyone on the way to the game, the 11 comes out and everyone's hanging around someone's phone, who's in, who's out. It's that kind of vibe, right? It's football passionate people who just love our national team, and that kind of carries its way through. But there's also people who want to have a good time, and the events that they put on are amazing, like absolute top notch. Qatar was just the best locations wherever you wanted to be close to that stadium that day. Awesome food and drink, and America will be the same. I've heard some of the places they've teed up for the pre-game functions. They're awesome. And then the songs start, right? So we had in Qatar, and
after the beer starts flowing, really, doesn't it?
Probably before. I mean, some of those guys are so loose that it's, they don't even need beers. But we had the Newcastle Jets squadron supporter group in Qatar, and they led the way. They're all coming, I understand.
Of course they did. Of course they did.
The Jets, we're going to see
it's great because you need a few people to get it going, and then everyone jumps in off the back. Yeah. And that was with only 200 people. We've got 420 now. So the Socceroos chants before the game will be going off. And then if we're lucky enough to win like we did in Qatar twice, it's just such a good party. And like Aaron said, I mean, the best part about a World Cup is arriving in a new city, checking it out. But then, you will arrive in Vancouver, for example, for that first game. Let's say we're playing Turkey. Let's say they get through. There'll be Turkish fans everywhere. And then you start talking to them and you start giving each other shit. And mate, my favourite ever World Cup memory outside of on the field, 2014, we played the Netherlands in Brazil, second game. Timmy's goal. Porto Alegre, awesome city. And there was like one main street which had bars on either side. And there were so many people there, the police cordoned it off and said, go for your life. And bars on the other side, man, it's not like Australia, it's Brazil. People are carrying drinks from one bar to the next and crossing over. In Australia, In Australia, you'd get arrested for, and put in jail for 3 months for carrying your drink over to the middle of the
We
street.
got 29 glasses. I counted 30 last night.
There, everyone's just crossing over from one bar to the next. Didn't make a
good.
difference. Dutch fans, Aussie fans. And the Dutch do that big party where they, before the game, they do the big jumping.
Jump up and down.
So they did that before the day of the game, which was awesome. But they've got a brass band that leads that. And they were there that night in the middle of the street and they're just playing songs and everyone's singing. There's so many Aussie fans that at one stage they stopped and played Waltzing Matilda. And we're all just singing with them. And you're standing back going, how good is this? Thousands of Aussies, Dutch fans everywhere. We're singing Waltzing Matilda in Brazil the night before a World Cup game.
Yeah.
And that kind of vibe is what you get, which is just different levels.
Well, I think you just touched on something there, Garby, which is the World Cup. There's so much goodwill at a World Cup. I know that for the Euros, there can be some fans that are there to cause trouble. You don't get that at the World Cup. The World Cup is all about goodwill. So those types of experiences that you have with the opposing country's fans are just as priceless as the experience you have with the Australian fans, probably more so. Because you've got a shared passion and it's like a shared language and you just come together and it's just good vibes everywhere.
What about you, Aaron? What's your best memory of a GG Army tour and a World Cup? And I might just preface this by saying I heard that 2 people got engaged on one of your trips. Is that?
I heard someone invested in someone else's business.
There's been business investment.
I'm single.
There's been a marriage, Jerome, so you never know.
Come on. I said I wanted a girl that watched
Marriage,
football.
there's been some kids produced from the tours.
Not open to that just yet.
Another snake.
All right, we'll leave Jerome in his room after hours.
That's all right. We'll see.
But yeah, the highlight for me really, you really can't go past being in the stadium. My number one highlight from any World Cup, and this is this isn't even a Green and Gold Army memory, but it's being in that stadium in Kaiserslautern when Tim Cahill's second goal went in. Not the first because it was a bit scrappy, but the second one, all the Australian fans, we were up the other end. Okay, so we had we were looking straight on as he kicked it, and we knew it was going in. It hit the bar, but you could just tell it was going in, and we were already celebrating beforehand. It was at a time when people were still smoking cigarettes. I had a cigarette burns from my mate on my arm, and
Just putting it out on you.
It was just great. Just great. But from a tour perspective, I think that the opening party we had in Russia was pretty special. Russia was a destination that we weren't too sure about before we went there, but honestly, there's the problems that it has now, and those problems are real. But when we went there, we were welcomed with open arms, and the Russians they put on a good show. And we had this amazing party in a museum before the opening game where Russia won. And we had the Russian military band there perform their national anthem. Who knows what they're up to now? But at that point, it was pretty amazing to see that. So it was, there's plenty of experiences that I've had on these tours that have just been, we're so lucky. I've got the best job in the world. I get to follow the Socceroos and watch them play and make friends from all over the globe. So it's amazing.
A good Russian story. It wasn't necessarily Green and Gold Army specific, but I remember after the game, everyone went to a bar called Twin Peaks. Do you remember that in Kazan?
Yep.
It's pretty much like the Hooters of Russia, right? That's where the Aussies go.
Twin
Never mind
Peaks.
Never mind the authentic Russian bar. All the Aussies went to Twin Peaks on the Hooters
They
of
got
Russia.
him in Vancouver, or?
Probably.
There's a Hooters there.
There you go.
Anyway, it was an awesome sports bar, huge, double story, and mate, there's 1,000 Aussies in there an hour after the game. We lost 2-1 to France that World Cup. Did pretty well, but they scored a jammy one late. There's probably 50 French fans in there, right? And they start giving it to us, and we're like, we're your fans and all that sort of stuff. We're giving it back to them. They're like, mate, it's the group stages. We're going to win this thing. We don't bother coming down. The Aussies arrive at the group stages because we can't plan beyond that, right?
First game's the final.
Anyway, it's an afternoon game, so the Aussies are in there just drinking for hours and hours and hours. And we're in there till about midnight. Every Socceroos song has been sung throughout the night to the point where all the A-League chants started coming out, right? Because they're like, we can't sing any more Socceroos songs. Now you've got the Wanderers fans and the Sydney fans and everyone singing their club songs. I kid you not, I'll never forget this. There was a Victory father and son fan combo. The dad sent his son, who was a Victory fan as well, to the other side of the bar, right? He went to one side, his son went to the other side, and they sang the North End, and then his son goes, the South End, all across the bar.
You're kidding.
About 1 in the morning in Russia, that was unbelievable.
Oh, special. So, Aaron, for everyone that is a part of Patreon, if you want to be, we'll probably go through the itinerary more on there. But in regards to this upcoming World Cup, for anyone that's interested in going, Garby spoke about like some of the events you've done or some activities that you kind of set up for the people on the tour. What are some of the things that you've got in mind or locked in potentially for the America, Mexico, Canada World Cup?
Yeah, so it's West Coast, USA, Canada. So everything's sort of themed around that. The itinerary, you're going to go through it later on, but just to touch on that, we've sort of mixed in non-host cities as well. So there's a short stay in Whistler. So apart from the football, you get that sort of mountain experience that Canada's famed for. And then we're also taking the entire group. So we've chartered 4 aircraft to take the entire group down to Los Angeles after the Seattle game, after the USA game. We're having 3 nights there. So there's an opportunity to see Iran and Belgium play in Los Angeles, but also to catch a Dodgers baseball game. I think it's the Dodgers. It could be the Angels.
Go watch Shohei Ohtani.
But yeah, so it's going to be a classical green and gold army experience, which is we're there to support the Socceroos, but we're going to make sure that you get to uncover what America is itself. Diners, baseball, West Coast IPA, that type of stuff. And yeah, it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun.
What about after San Fran, after the Paraguay game?
Well, we've got 2 tours and there's an 18-night tour, and I'm glad you touched on that. We're going to take the group to Vegas. So what a way to mess somebody up at the end of the tour.
Missed that.
Well, we'll see.
I'll go.
Okay, that's where Suda the Buddha fall off. One night in Vegas.
2 nights in Vegas. 2 nights.
Yeah. That's where Jakey's gone. Yeah.
2 nights in Vegas. So if you can survive that, it could be a long flight home.
Oh, wow. That is amazing, man.
Well, thank God we're going with you guys, because we'd be waking up at freaking 12 p.m. being like, what should we do today, boys?
Well, I guess that's one of the benefits of traveling with us, and Garby would have seen this in action, is that, people go out and they have a good time, but you sleep in. You won't miss your flight because one of our staff members will be knocking on your door saying, hurry up, we're leaving. We will wait for you. But yeah, that's one of the benefits of traveling with a group, is that you're taken care of.
Who are some of the esteemed, whether football guests or celebs or people that have been on, obviously Garby's one coming on this tour, but on previous tours, because some big names have come before, haven't they? Ned Zelic,
Kevin Muscat. We had Muskie travel with us to South Africa, but he was still playing for Victory. So he was, he was a great host.
Yeah.
But he was still there going up to the Virgin Active gym of a morning, running his 10Ks on the treadmill, and then coming back and hanging out with the group.
Yeah, amazing.
Muskie.
Amazing. Because, there's so for instance, this time around, Garby mentioned Cozzy's coming, Simon Hill's coming. So they interact with everyone in the tour, or is there
absolutely.
like speaking events, or like what?
Yeah,
how does that work?
We'll host sort of panels quite often during the tour, definitely before each game. On the bus, everyone wants to talk about the game afterwards, right? Like, especially if you've had a good result. Everyone's just buzzing, everyone's analysing. And what about this guy's game? No one mentioned him. Yeah, he had a great game. Yeah. So that kind of stuff happens on the bus, right? But there's definitely panels set up before each game where everyone sits around and we have a formal panel chat. But one of the benefits is just talking football with people who love it. We're there to sort of mingle, and people want to ask you about this. Have you heard about this guy, heard about that guy? What do you think of the way in which Popper's going to set up for the next game? He didn't play well. Is he going to get dropped? All that stuff happens all the time. But we have panel chats with the guests throughout the tournament, and the big ones are prior to the games.
Yeah, one of the things you realise, guys, when you're at the World Cup is you're really removed from the Australian media landscape. So you're over there and you feel a little bit isolated because you're not getting the SPS feed, and so you get your reels and that type of stuff to catch up, but you sort of away from the news, so you're not getting that sort of technical analysis. So what Garby and these guys bring before the game is that analysis of what's coming up and what they might have heard from inside the camp, because you are removed from it. We're in Qatar. It was a bit easier because it was in English. But when you're in Brazil, all the commentary's in Portuguese. So you're struggling to sort of keep up with stuff.
Right. That's fascinating, because then there would be that anticipation of like everyone just wants to talk about it. Then you get like some of those guests, Cozzy and Simon Hill, Garby up there, and breaking it down would just create like a whole different feel towards going into the game, hey?
People are just salivating, mate, in the lead up to it. Like, you're on tour, you've spent this money, you've made this commitment, and each game day is such a massive event. Like 2 days down, you're itching for it. So people just want to talk nonstop. Yeah, they're having a good time. They're going out, they're seeing the United States, but everyone who's signed up for the Green and Gold Army are passionate about the Socceroos. So I love that part of it, just talking about such a special occasion. Like, you can never, you guys clearly don't, but you can just never lose sight of what a privilege it is for us to be at a World Cup. Yeah. Forget about the 48 teams and all that. Like, there's still big countries that have missed out. And we're so lucky to be there. Making it again for us is such an enormous achievement. We should never take it for granted. Too many people do nowadays. But I understand it, because a lot of people have, they've never known Australia missing a World Cup. Like, if you're 20 years of age, that's all you've ever known, right?
Year, man.
The 97 Iran, heard about that, but you never lived it.
Yeah.
I just think every single game at a World Cup is such a privilege to watch. That feeling sort of emanates throughout, and that's why people just want to talk about every single angle of the national team before each occasion.
Aaron, can you take us through? So, have you been to all the three cities are playing the group games in?
Yep.
Can you give our listeners a bit of a vibe of what Vancouver, Seattle, and San Fran are like? I guess for the people that will be going, what they'll experience.
Yep. So, Vancouver, obviously it's in Canada, so it's got that difference. You got the Canadian mentality and mindset, which it's not until you get there that you realise that it's different. They talk similarly, but I think they're more sort of similar to us culturally. More similar humour. Vancouver itself, it's not a huge city. I think the population might only be sort of 1.5 million, and it's a really
have a
small.
look at that, Nick.
Really
See what it
small
is,
footprint.
Vancouver population. Yeah,
really small footprint. There's like it's almost like an island that has all the buildings on it, and that's where the stadium is. So we're lucky that the stadium is downtown in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Seattle is another Pacific Coast city, but obviously down in the States. It's only about a 3-hour drive away from Vancouver. But it feels very different. It feels very American. It's got the famous sort of, that saucer building that you would have seen if your mum and dad watched Frasier back in the day.
Wow, that's not that.
Yeah, there you go, 660,000. That's in the city centre.
Yeah, wow.
Then there's obviously the sort of the suburbs that they don't really count in that, but it's about 1.5 million. So think of it as like the size of Adelaide. So that's one of the biggest challenges with Vancouver is not a lot of hotels. Right. There's 8,000 hotel rooms for the entire city.
Good.
And so that's not a lot. Okay,
yeah.
So Vancouver, it's going to be great. As I said, the stadium's downtown. Seattle, stadium's also downtown. It's American, but it doesn't feel that American, if you know what I mean. Like, it's a very isolated city. It's Portland below it, but otherwise there's not much up there. And then San Francisco is...
It's one of my favourite cities in the world, San Francisco.
Man. It's great.
It
feels free. It's very sort of liberally minded. Anything goes there. And then you've obviously got... Silicon Valley, which is just down the road. And actually the stadium we're playing at, Levi's Stadium's not even in San Francisco.
Where is
it? It's in Santa Clara, which is near San Jose, which is Silicon Valley, basically.
Massive too.
They're hosting the Super Bowl there.
They are.
2 weeks.
Next week.
The Super Bowl stadiums that we're playing out there again.
This time next week? Yeah. Wow. So what does it hold?
70,000. Most of the 70,000 for Seattle and Levi. It might be 72 this one. There you go, 68,500. And then Vancouver, 54,000. So Vancouver's stadium really does have a feel like Marvel Stadium in Melbourne. It's in the city centre. It's got the roof and it holds 54.
Yeah. Have we, forgive me, we haven't played at a World Cup and played the host nation, have we?
74 we did.
74.
But obviously not since we got back in.
So
that's enormous.
That for the game, like Green and Gold Army perspective, that's massive, isn't it?
Well, there's there's ticketing aspects to it which are complicated, right? But from the fan point of view, it's going to be next.
Those who have got a ticket to that game, it's going to be something special, something to remember. The challenge is getting a ticket to that game.
Yeah.
Okay. So the federation, they get an allocation of 8% of the stadium of saleable tickets that. Your listeners probably have gone through this ballot application. They're looking to go to the World Cup. That ticket's going to be like gold dust. So that's the challenge of playing America. Those who are there, it's going to be unforgettable. The challenge is getting there, getting a ticket to that game.
But playing them is going to be epic. Like from the fan point of view and the amount of interest, the amount of Americans around, that's going to be crazy. But, the closest, I guess, experience we've had in terms of playing a host nation, since 74 was Ghana in 2010, which, okay, wasn't South Africa, but it was an African country. And you felt like you were at a big away game. Mate, most of the World Cup games, we actually dominate in the crowd, Australia, or at least 50-50. We have so many travelling fans. So you feel pretty strong in there, even if you're playing a top team in like France, the last 2 World Cups, where you know it's going to be a challenge. You feel really strong in the crowd. America, we're going to be outnumbered. Ghana, we had that feeling. That was what a great performance. We drew 1-1 after having Harry sent off.
That's good,
That's
though.
up there for me, one of our best ever World Cup performances, considering we were down to 10 men.
Yeah.
But
And they made the quarters, didn't they, Ghana as well?
they
I'm pretty
did,
sure.
and
Yeah, and they
mate,
got robbed.
Yeah.
They should have been in the semi.
I want to be outnumbered against America. I want to feel like the whole stadium hates us. And I just want to be in that little corner with the whole army.
I don't know why. I've got a feeling we're going to get a result against them.
Mate,
It would just be very Socceroos
You
in the
will see
World
it.
the
Cup.
pressure will be on them, mate. Like if
Yeah.
they don't do well in that first game, it is going to
Do
be
or die.
helter-skelter against them. And if we
Yeah.
start well, it's only going to increase, and it could be something absolutely special if you get, mate, imagine watching us knock off the US in Seattle at a
whiz,
World
man.
Cup.
Can you guys explain, because this is the first time I've tried to go to a World Cup. I didn't realise how difficult it is to just get a ticket, even if you want to pay.
Yeah.
Can you, for the listeners that are maybe, they don't have a flight yet, they don't have obviously their World Cup ticket yet, what is like your way of making that process a bit easier?
Yeah, so obviously we take care of everything from when you land in North America. So if you're looking to if the World Cup is an idea to you that's new in terms of travelling in June, you haven't left it too late yet, but there's a couple of steps that we need to get into pretty quickly to make sure you can get there in the first place and get there as cheaply as possible. So getting your flights into North America will be there's always ways to get flights, but they're going to become more expensive from mid-February. The other challenge is getting match tickets. So the main phase to receive tickets is that ballot application process is now closed. Okay, and they're going to announce the results on the 5th of Feb. But that doesn't mean that's the end of the road. There's other ways to get tickets to go to the World Cup. There's a resale platform this time. And in fact, if you went onto the resale platform now, you could pick up a ticket to each of Australia's group stage games for about $1,900 US for the 3 games combined, including that USA game. So it's not cheap, but when you consider a Super Bowl ticket at the moment, I think it's about $10,000 US. It's not that bad either, okay? The other thing is with us, one of the benefits of travelling with us is the community benefits that you receive from it. One of those community benefits is that everybody on our tour has put an application in for the FA Plus membership to probably obtain 2 tickets each person, okay? That means that there could be some additional tickets within the cohort of people where, I might have put in an application for 1, but I get 2. I don't need 2, I only need 1. They contact us and say, is anybody else in the group that's sort of missed out on the ticket and the ballot process? And we connect them, okay? So we do what we can to get you into the stadium. And we've never had one person who's travelled with us that's never been in the stadium to any match that Australia's played in because of the community benefits that we offer and the seriousness that we take to make sure that people have tickets.
Oh, so it's like a cheat code. Really,
that's incredible.
It's a cheat code.
You guys, you're
It's a cheat code.
providing a
Maybe
cheat
I shouldn't
code.
have given out the secret herbs and spices there.
But that's awesome because
Yeah.
there actually are so many spaces available. So if anyone does want to come on the tour and join us, like where do they start? Like is it through the website?
Our website, ggatravel.com.au.
We'll have that in the bio.
In the bio, yeah.
Yep.
Click on that. Have a look around. You'll see some of our videos from our previous World Cups. That's the ultimate way to find out what you're going to experience when you're there. And then in the ticket situation, give us a call and we'll talk you through what the options are available to get into the stadium. But there's plenty of options still to get tickets. The important thing, and my message to everybody is, if you're going to go to the World Cup and you want to go, you've got to act on it sooner than later because everything becomes expensive. As I said, Vancouver, small city, we've only got so many rooms in Vancouver. Okay, they're going to fill up. So once they fill up, that kind of limits what we can do in the other cities because if we filled up Vancouver, it doesn't matter if we can get extra hotel rooms in Seattle and San Fran because it doesn't work for the tour group. So, if you're interested to go to the World Cup, go to our website, give us a call, and some of our staff will take you through the options.
Just on that, like traveling at a World Cup is great for the experience of going to a new city and meeting different fans and all that. But it's also a punish at times. Like it is. It's the greatest strength of a World Cup, but it's also its weakness because it can be really hard. Qatar was one of the blessings was you were in basically one hotel room for the whole time because there was nowhere else to go. But like, mate, I remember Brazil catching a flight that was meant to be 2 hours. We went up and down 4 times to drop off people at different stops. It was crazy. It took us like 6 hours in the end. It's hard work sometimes getting luggage from one city to the next for just like a 2-hour flight, and it's chaos at the airports. And that's why the Green and Gold Army is such a great way to do it, because that's all taken care of. You don't have to worry about it. It's all done. And for people, the expense and the logistics, it can be really stressful. And that is a benefit of doing it this way, as enjoyable as it is.
That's amazing, because I guess no one who hasn't been to a World Cup like us, you don't think about any of these. I would never have thought how much detail you actually need to do, because you just think, I just want to go to the game.
I fucking stress if I can't get exit row to Sydney.
Yeah, that's fact, by the way.
That's actually a fact.
Yeah, which the exit row situation on the way to the States is hilarious right now.
Oh, I'm doing my absolute that's for another time.
He's willing to chop off an arm to get an exit row.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think that covers it all.
Yeah. Was there anything
else you guys wanted to touch on?
Yeah, just you guys are going to have a great time. We're excited to have you there.
We can't wait.
You don't know what you're in for. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I don't think we do. And obviously we're probably going to share more, but we're going to be making so much content there, because football content, but live content, the cities, you mentioned Whistler, like God knows what we'll come up with. So it'd be pretty cool to have like the Green and Gold Army people in that sort of, production of what we do. Will make it even more special.
Just lucky Vegas is right at the end, eh?
Yeah, for some reason the battery died in Vegas.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
For some reason my flight home.
Yeah. We left the hard drive in San Fran.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for coming on. Green and Gold Army, like Aaron said, clock is ticking. This is the best way to get to the World Cup. GGAtravel.com.au or 1300 GG Army if you want to give them a call. Let's get to the World Cup, people. All right, guys, back into the episode. Jakey, before we get on to A-League chat, I think I'm lost for words a bit, but we need to send our condolences to the Vidišić family. Rado sadly passed away. Jake, you have a connection to the family.
Yeah. Yeah, it was... It's kind of, I was a bit shocked last week because I knew he was sick. And for those that don't know, he obviously passed away with throat cancer, which was kind of relatively sudden. So you obviously knew he was getting treatment. We knew Dario had left Brighton to come back and be around his dad. So obviously things weren't looking too great. But even with knowing that, like when it happens, it still kind of hits you in the face. More so, like I didn't have like a very, very personal relationship with Rado, but I spent a lot of time with Dario. Like I pretty much followed him around in Adelaide because he was the best player in the team. I was like, this guy's the coolest thing ever. And he was just such a wonderful guy. And always, every time I was with him, he would be on the phone with Rado, like talking football or something. So they were so close. So from that point of view, that's what hit me the most. I was like, Dars was probably the closest person he's had on this earth was his dad. We know how good Dario is as a footballer and now as a coach. And I mean, it's all Rado that's personified him to be that. I don't know about you, Garby, but it was quite moving seeing like around the league as well, like everyone giving the tributes because it feels like because he's touched the men's and women's game, everyone's kind of had some experience with him.
Yeah, the moment silence before the derby was really poignant. I think the emanating emotion was that he was just such a gentleman.
Yeah.
I met him a few times, and that is exactly how you felt. Just a genuinely nice person. And usually people equate, elderly football figures as being really grisly and really tough, especially when they've come from the part of the world that he has, and the story of immigrating and all that. But he was always just such a soft, gentle person with them, obviously a deep love and knowledge of football. So very sad, and he's obviously his son's done great things for the Socceroos, and he's doing great things in coaching now with Brighton Women. So he's got a strong football legacy. Yeah, very sad loss.
Yeah, I mean, just from everyone at Suited and Booted to the Vidišić family, we send our condolences. Obviously, heartbroken about the loss of Rado. He was a great man in football. There is a GoFundMe that we'll share in the bio as well, which is obviously for support for people with the illnesses to get support and more sort of, I guess, science behind the cure to help, and also from a family standpoint to help with some of the medical bills too. So we'll share that. It's already raised $6.5 grand already. Their goal's 35K. So any spare change booters, it's going to a great cause and a great family in football.
Right.
Any words? Sorry, boys.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't know if you guys know this, but he was my assistant coach for a year at Victory.
Oh, yeah. What was he like? Because apparently...
Exactly what you just said, Garby, is one of the most lovely people I've ever met in my life. And to say that about, like you said, a football person, it's very rare that not one person in the country has a bad word to say about him. He's such a gentleman.
Melbourne
such a
City,
nice guy.
actually, like for people that don't know Rado, watch the Melbourne City. It's like a 6-minute reel they put out. It's incredible. It's like from Steph Catley to, some of the men players that played under him, the words. And one of the, I think Brad Rouse, the CEO, mentioned something around like the pressure environments of football and maintaining a level of like carefree and niceness to people can be shifted at times due to results. And Rado, that was one of the things they said about him.
Yeah, and he was just a happy guy, man. Just a positive, happy guy.
What was he like as a coach?
But a clearly one of the most passionate football people that you ever meet. Like, just lived and breathed it. And I'm glad that I got to meet him. But like the boys have said, and Garby, we send our condolences out to the Vidišić family and anyone that's been connected and impacted by this. And Rado, thank you very much for your contribution to Australian football, mate.
Amen, brother.
Thank you. Right, guys, let's get into the wonderful A-League.
A Liga, man.
There was a few little stories from this weekend, but I think the main one, obviously, is the Sydney Derby. Sydney FC 4-1 winners. I didn't actually expect that scoreline, I'm not going to lie.
Did you think a lot of people tipped Wanderers going into this? More than most, right?
For good reason.
Yeah, it was
because,
actually.
Sydney had been hammered 4-0 by Victory. Wanderers had a win. Ryan Fraser, who did, sum up the theory on his potential impact inside 40 seconds, he was isolated after that, but he can rip this league up. He is very, very good. And, all those reasons many people thought, Western Sydney, they seem more physical. Like Sydney said, we want to fight. And you look through their team, you go, well, who's going to fight for you? The midfield's a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
But they all stepped up in that regard, obviously. And Wanderers are found wanting a bit. So, yeah, I thought Western Sydney would, not necessarily definitely win, but I thought they deserved to go in as favourites. But my goodness, how it switched, and what a night. It's such a good occasion, the Sydney Derby. And the rivalry is just so real. Like the best derbies are multi-layered. It's not just location. It's not just two teams in the one city. It's the cultural side of it, mate. And the Sydney Derby's best part about it is the hard workers of the West against the cappuccino set of the East. And even though there's probably tradies in the West who earn far more than anyone in the East these days, that's the vibe of it, right? And the hard workers want to shove it up the fancy pants and vice versa. And mate, that flows onto the field so well. And mate, it's not manufactured at all, and that's why I love the occasion.
I saw a video that Sydney FC posted it was just of the limbs when they scored, and I was like, fuck, this looks like a top-tier European club or something, because I think there was 34,000, wow, which is incredible. And I said this at the start of the season, and I'm firm on it. There needs to be storylines in the A-League. It's a part of the league. Well, it's a part of any good league, but I feel like it really helps us. And, he ate his words, but I've got to give a shout out to Pantazopoulos, because, again, he stirred shit before the derby.
Well, I was saying it before that we need a crime-free Conor McGregor in this league, and he may be the guy.
Yeah, and he's just, like, he came out and said, the weak as piss line, which...
Rashid, quote unquote, verbatim, give me what he said in there. Just think about as well, the Western Sydney media manager's gone, hey, Panther, come have a few words. Sit him down. He's just getting ready to light a flame. The media manager's about to hit record. What did he say?
Well, didn't they ask him what were they like last time around, and what do you expect this time or something?
Yeah. Spot on.
Weak as piss.
And I expect the same again.
Yeah,
That's
true.
I mean, you need balls to say that.
Yeah.
But fair
especially
play to
before,
him.
right? Because you can talk stuff after, but to say it before is...
But Garby, it worked for him. It worked for him in the first derby.
Mate, the first derby, he
was unbelievable.
Mate, he was unbelievable. He rolled them up. I don't know if everyone knows the story, but he was our player of the match, right? And the player of the match was on the pod with Tara and Broski and the crew. So over in the corner, that was where the Sydney fans were. So he had to go across there. I saw him walking across and I saw the Sydney fans moving, right? Obviously to get ready to give it to him. And they would have thrown friggin' bottles or whatever. They wouldn't have cared. And I said to our floor mate, I said, he can't go there. Like, it's just, they won't give a shit. They don't care if Broski's there or whoever. You've got to get him out of there, or there's going to be absolute chaos. And they did smartly, and we did the interview in the middle of the ground. But as he was making his way back from the pod to the middle of the ground, the Sydney players were at him. You fucking cockhead.
Really?
It was on. And they didn't forget. And then for him to come out knowing that and still say that on camera during the week before the game takes kahunas.
Oh.
Unfortunately, it didn't go to plan. And the worry is that they put the muzzle on for the next game, but I hope they don't. And I hope Sydney comes to the party as well, because you're all thinking it. You don't need to drum it up for theatre. It's how you all feel.
Yeah, exactly
Give us
right.
what we want in the
What you're
Supercard.
actually thinking.
Correct.
Sydney sort of went down the route of they posted their own video and basically no one said a word, and they said we're gonna let our football do the talking, which they did. So fair fucks to Sydney, because that yeah, they did, but that was during the week. And then after the game, I believe it was Joe Lolly posted an Instagram post saying weak as piss with the scoreline, which I love.
That's good, yeah.
I love.
Ryan Grant, man. Oh, well, actually, Daniel Garb getting the scoop of the round, by the way.
So, Garby...
wait, before you go into this, I was told, because I didn't actually see the post-game interview live. I saw the clip. But apparently Joe Lolly came over and said something.
Well, as I had Rhino ready to go, Joe Lolly came in and said, speak about Panther. And Ryan said, we'll get to that. And I was going to ask him anyway, of course. But, look, he gave him a fair clip, as did Ben Garuccio in the sheds afterwards. Just basically said, if you want to light the fuse like that, you got to back it up, and you haven't, mate. You were great last time, fair play. You're best on field, but you got dragged and your team got smashed 4-1. So well played. And look, that was watered down as well. Like, of course.
What did Grant exactly say to the people that didn't see
He said they batted him.
Batted him 4-1, and if you want to come out like that, then you got to back it up, and you didn't, basically. And so it's pretty embarrassing to put in a performance like that after what you said.
He said on an individual level, you had not their best game, and you got battered 4-1.
But hey, we'll give credit here to both Panterzopoulos, man. Keep doing what you're doing, and then Ryan Grant, captain's armband on. Rite of passage to have a clip back.
Getting into his face after they scored. Did you see that little clip?
Into his face after, and when that first melee broke up, Panther wasn't even involved, and Ryan Grant went to him. No way, it was Philip Canchar involved. Panther was nowhere near, but he went straight for him. Brilliant.
Oh, man.
What you say fuck me for?
Yeah, what you say fuck me for?
Hey, do you know what, Garby? I don't know about you, but that a cool Akon.
Played, he can play.
16?
And Quintal is a player.
Quintal's shown signs, though, to me. I'm like, you can see he can play. It's just obviously Uffy prefers Julian Ocon, but
He
good,
played really
man.
well against, I can't remember which game it was now, but he was really good earlier on in the season, and he showed his signs. And I think it was against Central Coast, in fact, away. And Akola Con is, to throw him into the derby, very good tactical move. They needed to freshen something up, and you'd know. Sometimes you throw a kid in, everyone looks on the team sheet, 16, you're throwing in the kid. I don't know, does it give everyone a lift? Does it put everyone on notice? It does something inside a squad.
And sometimes they repay you for
they're
that.
fearless. That's what Ryan Grant said. He goes, he doesn't care about the stage of the derby, mate, because he's 16. He doesn't know anything about hard knocks yet.
Yeah.
And he came out and just played his natural game, and both he and Quintal, they were the two best players on the park.
Even that Holman was
He's good, man.
really good. And he cut out so many balls. Defensively, it was amazing.
Akola Con got man of the match.
Yeah, did he?
I believe so.
Quintal got 3 votes for us and Akola Con 2.
Do you remember when we sat with Alex Baum-Johan? I don't know if you guys remember what he said. Before I say this about Akola Con, I'm going to give a shout out to Tiago Quintal, because he watches and listens to the pod. So I did message him and I told him I would. So well done, brother. Keep it up.
Yes, sir.
Baum-Johan told us about Akola Con, how he got him from Western. So he was by far, like, word around Sydney, the best player in Wanderers Academy. And he wanted to stay at Wanderers, but obviously he was getting interest from Sydney. He felt like he was ready to at least be training with the first team regularly. So that was his ask of Western Sydney. It's like whatever the new contract re-signing was. I don't know if it was going to be a pro or a scholarship, but it's like, I just want to train with the first team every day. And apparently that was shut down, but it's like once a week you can't. And so he's like, well, nah. And then Sydney got him.
But you got to ask questions about unfortunately, Western Sydney's academy, like, they're bottom of the A-League now, bottom of the A-League women's. It's true, but we've been told for years it's the hotbed of Australian football. More talents have come out of Western Sydney than anywhere else to become Socceroos, and that is fact. But now we've got these academies set up. Why aren't you producing as many talents as some other teams? Why can Sydney FC steal a kid like that from you?
It's incredible.
What's going on? And I think those questions are well and truly fair.
Yeah.
I think, going back to your point on the playing kids, yes, we had someone up here say that maybe they shouldn't just play every kid. But when you have a special kid in your team who's been touted like that, and then they perform on top of it in the biggest game of your season,
and it's
arguably,
included amongst other experienced professionals.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you got players like Grant and Lolly and so on and so forth. Like I watched the game, but it was at an environment where I couldn't really concentrate. I was at an engagement. So I had
so many questions there before you said that.
Yeah.
Couldn't concentrate.
Not like
He's
last
got a bit
time.
of form watching football, man. That's all.
So I had it sort of on the table, sort of, but I feel like the goals weren't for me anyway.
They had some luck involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
But you've got to be in the right position, and you've got to
buy a ticket.
You got to buy a ticket. And Sydney did that. I believe Ryan Fraser wasn't.
You said that actually on the broadcast.
Yeah, that was a bit concerning. Like he scored a ripper early on, but they can see the soft one afterwards. And I get it, when you've scored a crack and you've done so well, and then you give a soft one up, it's frustrating, right? But I thought his body language was a bit off, and there was a bit of finger pointing and hand waving and a little bit of whinging. And I get it, mate. He's played 10 plus years in the Premier League. I'm a massive advocate of what Western Sydney have done to get him. I've said numerous times, I think he'll rip this league up. But you've got to be a leader. You got to, because everyone's looking up to you. And if you come with that Charlie Austin type stuff, it's not going to have a good vibe on the team. So maybe in the sheds he was a bit different. I don't know. Maybe it was just his competitiveness and his emotion coming out during the game. But everyone else feeds off that because of who you are. I hope he can set a good example in that sense, because it doesn't help.
Yeah, you're spot on. It's interesting as well. 1 point for Sydney. Joe Lolly looked good coming back. He played a couple of balls and looked lively. So if he gets going, Sydney's mojo's almost back. But just Gary Van Egmond, it's a bit of a, like, we know his history. He was actually my old coach at the AAS, but I guess it feels like Western Sydney might need to kick up the arse. He's definitely a coach that's got that mantra about him. What do you think that's going to look like for the rest of the season? And also, do you think, is that clear he's not going to be the head coach next season?
At this stage, no. I mean, if he does an incredible job between now and the end, he might get it. But I don't think that's the plan as it stands.
Right.
It's very much an interim, and they'll look for someone else. But
do you think they missed a card there with all those coaches that went to China? Aloisi, Montgomery, Ross Aloisi as well, John Aloisi
but
and Ross.
finance has come into it, and the China money, that's a big factor. You would have thought they would have landed one of them. Mate, where do they go from here? I mean, there was good vibes after the Glory game. This loss sets things back a little bit. Mate, you can still win 3 games in a row in this league and all of a sudden be on the verge of the 6th.
Well,
you can't rule them off. Rule them out. And because of Fraser, they're a legitimate chance. But teams will be setting up for Fraser and doubling up on him. And they're going to have to work through that and find ways to get him in good positions.
Well, I think there's a stat going around that Newcastle's the only team in the A-League that's won more than 2 out of their last 5. To summarise your point. Yeah. Box office. Let's actually just quickly on them. And we spoke about it today, me and Rashid, and it's probably jumping the gun because there's a lot of football left, but this is what we do here. Who cares about the facts? If they were to win this season and run away with it, would that be one of the greatest stories in A-League history?
I mean, the Mariners a couple of years ago are right up there. Let's not forget about that, for where they were.
Very true.
What they did with that squad, what they were able to win. Awesome. And it's a very similar story, mate. It's young players who perhaps haven't been given chances at other clubs, who have been written off, who are coming together with a bit of the chip on their shoulder and a manager who believes in them and a local community getting behind them. Biggest crowd since the 2018 grand final.
It was 12, wasn't it?
12,000.
Yep.
Right? So there's a buzz there all of a sudden. I mean, Millsy's obviously got the pedigree and he's proving he can coach, but they've got talents, mate. Baylor, I love Clayton Taylor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Such a good player.
He's not getting enough plaudits.
Eli Adams, he's been good for a couple seasons now, Taylor.
Rashid loves Dobson.
I want to shout out Dobson, man. I love him.
Yeah.
I reckon he's fantastic.
And they lost the boy with the ACL.
Badalado.
Yeah. So they've had a setback there as well, and they're still flying. It's a similar story to the Mariners. If they do, I definitely think it's one of the great stories in
I wonder
history.
what the average age is. Do you think it's older or younger than that Mariners team?
probably a little bit younger potentially. The Mariners, had a couple of veterans in the team.
Yeah.
Kaltak and a couple others, but it's young.
Because it's very young, and for Millsy's first sort of full run of it, if he goes on and wins it, that's one of the most incredible, years
I've got a stat here
of coaching.
I know what you got.
I've got a cool little stat. Now, they said that we can't use ChatGPT anymore, so we're going to stop doing it.
Okay, what are you using now? Claude?
My brain.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clubs who used suited and booted for a caption this week were Wanderers, Adelaide, Sydney, Perth, Jets, Mariners and Phoenix. Clubs who didn't. The Rams.
Yeah, average performance.
I called MacArthur Bulls, MacArthur Rams in one vlog.
Right.
Yep.
So it's stuck.
The Rams.
Mistake.
Yeah.
Victory, City, Auckland and Raw. Fun fact, none of those teams won.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a trend there.
There is
ChatGPT, is there a trend
Well,
there?
I'm not allowed to.
you can't.
we
Myself,
can't.
yeah, true.
But look, that's neither here nor there. It could just be a coincidence, or it could be a fact that.
Shout out
that's
to the
she say,
teams
he
that
say.
got behind that, by the way. Bravo. That was quick. Even Central Coast said, nah, man, in the thing, which was funny. And then the next day posted like two
can
things.
I just say something? I feel like, and I could be wrong here, so please correct me. I feel like the person that said, yeah, it's a no from me, dog, is not the same person
who posted it.
because then they did 2 posts in one weekend saying suited and
They
booted
don't,
for the
have
men's.
two, they don't have two media managers, right? I don't know if they have one.
I think it was Ollie Bozanic.
Yeah, shout out Ollie Bozanic.
I think it was Ollie Bozanic. So I've got to shout out him. Perth, I have a love affair with Perth at the moment, obviously. Adelaide being great.
I
Wanderers
saw
used it.
Kolokovsky in his underwear with your mate
Yes.
today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where's your love
what's
affair
going
with
on there?
Perth from? I'm a Perth boy.
Yes.
I mean, I was at the first ever Glory.
Give him the
I
story,
was at the
man.
first ever Glory game in '96, mate.
man.
Glory till I
He's
die.
like second team, but we don't even know who his first team is anymore.
So, obviously, the first time I ever went to Perth would have been for the wrestling in October, and I love the city.
Yeah.
And I ended up becoming very good friends with Rob, who runs the kit dealer down there. And we just got on like a house on fire. He's a diehard Glory fan, and so are all of his mates. And then we went back, me and Rashid went back to do the Mark Schwarzer thing, and Rob helped us out there. And I just love how they go about things. First of all, there's a lot of players in their team that I guess watched the pod or like show us love, tags. We love Brian Kaltak. Obviously, Kolokovsky's gone there now, who needs to be on a plane to the US for the Socceroos. Well, that's what Joey Lynch said anyway.
yeah, Joey
How's Kaczarski's?
Yeah.
Kaczarski.
How's that goal to win it?
Yeah.
I was speaking before, Kaczarski, if Aloisi signed you as a young striker because he was at Western, I'm like, this guy must be good, man. He's
he's got
replacing Botic.
Yeah.
Like, so fuck, he looks real deal, man. Even
And it's
before
not.
he got injured.
It's Auckland, bro. They haven't knocked off some bums. Like,
Yeah.
It's Auckland.
Yeah.
So
who were dying in the last 20 minutes every game, by the way, for some reason.
So I think. Wait, did I get that right? Maybe Auckland did. No, I think Auckland. Oh no, they didn't.
I don't
they
think
didn't.
Auckland
They didn't.
No, you did mention Wanderers did do it though, and they got pumped. So
Doesn't matter.
yeah, so okay,
Because
just
Sydney
ignore
did it and
that.
they won.
Ignore that team.
Cancels each other out, really.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
But yeah, I guess their social media team is great. They're very funny. They communicate with us a lot, and they just like to get involved in stuff. And I feel like without being unprofessional, they don't take themselves too seriously.
I'm going to say something crazy here.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I think the social media has been better from the A-Leagues.
Yeah, it has been.
It has
I
been.
think overall.
Yeah.
It's starting to
It has
get
been.
good.
It has been.
Well, even the shows that we're on, like that significantly has jumped up. I've noticed in the past month
leading
or so.
leaning into humour more.
Yeah, they're taking the piss a bit more. Yeah. They're not getting so sensitive about things.
Yeah.
We don't have the luxury to be sensitive about it. You got to.
Even the Panther thing.
Yeah.
2 years ago, that wouldn't have. No one would have posted that.
yeah.
So they're giving each other shit a bit, which is good.
Yeah, the social
it
teams.
is nice.
A lot of the teams on Twitter have been doing really good work. Like I said, Glory. Yeah, man.
Well, you got to get in the shed, Jerome.
I'm trying. We're working on something. I need to get to the shed. And there's a few characters up there that I'd love to do some videos with. So, and I just feel like they're just a good club, and I don't know.
It's a great football community in Perth. And
Yeah.
the Glory, I'm sure everyone's heard. They were They were that big. People don't even, unless you lived it, they were that big. People don't realise.
Yep.
And, A-League era hasn't been great apart from the Popovic days and a couple other moments, but they're tracking in the right direction now. They've got a good thing going.
What years are you talking when they were
NSL era. So late 90s, early 2000s.
They were winning
They were the biggest team in town. So,
yeah.
mate, the crowds were enormous. And they carried the NSL. For
Really?
years.
I didn't know that.
No, mate. It was sellouts early on and marquee players, and it was epic, mate. A Sunday afternoon at Perth Oval was the football party unsurpassed in the country.
Why do you think that's not translated to A-League?
Oh, mate, it's a long story. I don't want to take up too much time, but basically, they were an A-League club before the A-League came in.
Yeah.
So there was no ethnic divides in the Perth Glory, and they got everyone together. We had to wait so long for a team in Perth that when it came in, it just boomed. And they did so well, they were able to attract all the players from around the country, right? And all the players wanted to go there because no one else had crowds, right? And they had 15, 20,000 every week.
Wow.
Unfortunately, that cost a lot of money, and there wasn't a lot of money coming in via broadcast rights, right? So as well as they were doing, they were still losing money paying for players and so on. By the time the A-League came in, the money had ran out. And ownership sold and all that sort of stuff. But basically, they haven't had that same vibe. And the novelty wore off because they were the best team in the NSL. Then you get a salary cap. All of a sudden, you're back to the pack. And the fans are like, well, we're so used to watching great football and the best players. And now we're just another team. And Steve McMahon came in as the first coach and he had a crack at the fans and didn't work out. And they just haven't had a great vibe apart from when Popper came in and did ever so well.
Yeah.
And now it's
that was a good period.
It's coming through again now because Adam Griffiths is doing a great job. But they've got young players back in, like Bobby Despotovsky's son. I mean,
is that weird for you to see? That
crazy.
Was Bobby Despotovsky the guy
he's,
in Perth?
I think, the greatest player in Glory history, along with probably Diego Castro. But
yeah,
Bobby was there's so many guys in that team that nowadays, with the amount of games the Socceroos played, would have had 30 caps. Bobby would have been one. Scotty Miller, the left back, would have had 30 caps. He was that good.
Yeah.
But it was a different era. But they're a great football club, and that Glory fan base is still there. And when they get up there again, they all come back. They had 50,000 at the grand final a few years ago when they played Sydney. You might remember.
Wow.
So there's a strong fan base. And they're coming out. The crowds have been pretty good this season.
It also you got to remember as well. WA is a big AFL. It's a big AFL state as well. So they do have that to quote unquote battle against. But I feel like Glory have always, and I've said this a few times, they've always had like a good core group. The numbers might fluctuate, but I think similar to the Jets maybe in like their core group are diehards.
But that's incredible. I didn't know they were pushing those types of numbers each week. And then the 50, I don't remember that 50,000 in the final.
Yeah, the 2019 Granny, they had 50,000.
That's incredible. Yeah. So if they get some success, that's like sort of right
mate,
there.
The Glory were that big there that those fans haven't faded away.
Yeah,
they're still there. But, as is the story with so many clubs, you drop off and you're not happy with this and that stop going anymore. And
what do you think of Adelaide? Just because did you watch De Cooley play on the weekend? It's the best game I've ever seen him play. He was incredible, but just getting
probably my best mate.
Some of those Olyroos players back, and again, so young, but hitting a little bit of Newcastle territory the last few weeks where they get on a run.
Yeah, the crowds are pretty good there traditionally as well. My problem with Adelaide is I've looked through the last few years, they're always in the same position. They're always in that middle spot. And we kind of talk about them every season as being a contender, and they've got good young players and they can challenge and they start well. And it's like Heinmeisch on a Friday night, it's worth a goal and all that. And then kind of middle of the season, it's just up and down. At the end, they're always like just in the six or just out, and they don't quite do enough. And they've been like that for a while that I'm kind of held off getting excited about them because it's been the same story for a while, and you'd know, obviously, having played there. But they've got, obviously, like so many clubs, enormous potential.
Yeah.
But I want to see some consistency from them.
Yeah.
It's been too long where they've just been in that middle zone.
Yeah, correct.
I think the last thing on the A-League I want to touch, fair play to Central Coast, man.
Oh, great shout, Jerome.
Like, the game, first of all, you guys are geographically challenged. There's a fucking natural disaster every week in fucking Central Coast. And this one gets caught off again for lightning and then back on. Shout out Ali Algla. He scored that's his goal, bro.
Yeah, that's how he scores.
That's how he scores.
They didn't do that. They didn't do match reports on him, bro. Because you look at every goal. I mean, that's what he does.
Bro, he cuts in and he kills it. Like, that's what he does.
To be fair, he didn't give himself much room to do it. It's almost like his body's still front on, running to the goal.
Not much backlift, bro.
Yeah.
And, again, they're a club. We're in troubled times. But That's what happens when you use suited and booted. You get a result.
They did 40.
Look at that, bro.
40
great
minutes.
goal, huh?
40 minutes against a 10-man victory who had over 10 shots on target and over I think around 25 shots in general. So I don't know if that's a bit of luck as well, but obviously the effort, because usually when you go to 10 like they did, you set up a low block and you're just trying to hope. But it makes me wonder if you're a team as well, and not to take any glory off Central Coast here, if you're a team as well that can't score against 10 men in 40 minutes, it's either you've just been unlucky, which in this case probably Vic you were, because Nduka could have scored a tap in.
He'll get his five.
It then makes me think sometimes the structure of how you're playing is not correct. If you can't beat an extra man, which feels like 2 or 3 at times.
Well, I do want to say, and without saying too much, I was at the kit dealer on when was it, Thursday, and Roderick Miranda did come into the store, and we were having a chat, and he's like, "Man," I go, "How you feeling about the game this weekend?" And he goes, "Honestly," he goes, "it's probably my least favourite stadium to play at." I said, "Why?" He goes, "It's always windy, it's tough." He goes, "I love playing at Hindmarsh because it's perfect, but." He said it's just a tough stadium to go to. Like the weather, it's always humid.
I don't know if that. Just a normal stadium.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm just saying what he told me.
Yeah. I don't buy into that, man.
I'm not going to attribute their loss to that, but it was just interesting that he was telling me that, and then this happened. But
Garby, can you tell us what the player index means? Do you know?
The Paramount Plus.
Yeah, because I saw Redmayne had a score of 50. I've never seen that before.
That one, Garby.
Well, do you know what it is?
Oh, it's some mathematical index they've come up with to determine player performance, but it doesn't always correlate with the 3-2-1. In fact, in the derby it did, which was literally the 3-2-1 that we had was the top 3 in the Paramount Plus player index. But I cannot answer that for you. I'm not sure how.
So it's like data people. It's like stats people.
There's some like Opta thing behind it.
Okay.
I do want to say as well. I know that he was playing at an A-League club prior, but they've got 3 NPL attackers, and last week one of them scored 2 goals. Ollie,
great point.
And then Ali this week they have Sabit, who scored 2 or 3 weeks ago. So, I mean, just quietly.
Well, it's why the Oz Championship just holds benefit now, even to this competition, because it's a shop window to show yourself, and
literally
your teams down the bottom are going to bring you in when there's injuries or stuff like that, because you probably get them a bit cheaper, and they're obviously good enough.
Right, moving on. We do have a legend here in Garby. Garby, you when I was younger and I'd watch the Prem, I'd look at you and I'd think,
is that weird seeing him there? Like,
yeah, it is. It is.
Bro, you used to be standing pitch side at Stanford. Like,
and now I'm sitting here with you 3.
How the mighty have fallen.
Mate.
How the mighty have fallen.
No, what a massive step up.
Some would put it that way. Depends where
legitimately.
Depends which way you step. It was weird because I'd always look and, for some reason I thought I was going to be working in the Prem at 21. It was a bit odd from me.
31 on Sudan and Buddhas.
Yeah, that's all right, doing State 1. But you always had my, I guess, dream job. And I'm sure 1,000 people have said that to you. But how did that role even come about? It felt like a role that 1 in 10 million people could have. You have your analysts, you have your fucking commentators, whatever. And that's, there's certain... to be the correspondent for the Premier League... How did that even come about?
It's a literal dream. I mean, and it's a role that doesn't even exist anymore because now we just take the Premier League productions feed. So it was incredibly fortunate. How it happened. So Dave Davudovic, who you might know and remember, he was involved in football media for a long time, still is, but as a writer and reporter, he was over there doing a bit for the papers and a bit for Fox Sports as well. And Dave and I are mates, and we were good mates at the time. And I remember I used to message him when he was on Premier League games. He wasn't there for as long as I was, but I messaged him and go, mate, if you ever want to swap jobs or you're ever coming home, let me know. And I would have messaged him 3 or 4 times, and I was just furious sitting on my couch, and he's pitch side at Anfield or whatever. And one day he did. He said, mate, I'm coming home. If you want to, I was working in the media then. If you want to sort of put your name forward, here's the guy to call. And I thought, well, what have I got to lose? So Murray Shaw was the executive producer of football then. Just gave him a call. Barely knew him, but I'd met him before. And one thing led to another, and he said, we'll give you a crack. But it was like, a crack meant like, if you're not good.
Yeah.
So, but, I had to leave my full-time job at the time, move cities, pack up my life. But I was never going to say no because
Yeah.
I had to take the risk, and thankfully it turned into.
What were you
5
doing
years.
at the time?
I was working in football off for SEN, but I was working at Channel 9 as a sports and news producer for them. So I was in the media. So I was kind of itching for something like that, like a bit of a step up, and very fortunate, mate, that they gave me an opportunity. And yeah, it was, I didn't know how long it would last, but it turned into 5 years, and
What were those years?
Unbelievable.
What were those years?
2011 to 16.
Wow. So did you got a tap on the shoulder to do it, but you cold called the exec producer
cold call.
and moved overseas
Yeah,
from
flew
it.
to Sydney to meet him.
I might try that.
That's a fucking
Mate, closed
story,
mouths
man.
don't get fed.
Mate,
you gotta ask.
and
man.
you'll see. I don't
There's
know.
a lesson in that.
As you get older, maybe you get a bit more gun shy. But in your late 20s, you just have a crack, right?
Yeah,
And-
Marshall was the big dog.
He was, yeah.
Fox
He
Sports.
was the head executive producer of football, so he gave me a crack. But it could have ended at any time. But thankfully, I was rubbish early on. I remember, I had good interviews and that. I interviewed good people, but my on-camera presence was raw.
What was
But they gave me time.
for the younger listeners? What was your exact role?
I was a Premier League correspondent for games for the first 2 years and did some stuff for Fox Sports News, but really that was my role. And it was freelance, basically.
On the ground at the stadium.
On the ground, and I would do interviews for our Fox Sports shows
Yes.
during the week. One
So
of those
like
magazine shows.
Peacock, Bosnich, and Slater would dial into you.
Yeah, I'd cross into them, and then I'd do interviews during the week, whatever I could get. If I couldn't get anything, I didn't get paid. I had to work hard to get interviews for the magazine shows. And then after my second year, it turned into they sponsored me a full-time Premier League correspondent, and I was a European correspondent for Fox Sports News as well.
You're aging backwards because you still look the same as you did on there. But how old were you when you were doing it?
For 2011, I moved across. I was 28.
What the fuck?
Wow, dude.
That's so young.
Yeah,
Hey, Garby, you said it was kind of a situation where it was like a trial, like you're going over there, and if you shit, you're out. Do you remember what was it like that first day?
mate, I remember my first game. It was West Brom Man United. There you go.
Look at him.
That's showing a photo.
like
Danny Mills.
That was near the end. That was probably 2015
I thought that
or
was
so.
an AI Eric Ten Hag.
Me and Danny Mills at Old Trafford. But yeah, I remember West Brom Man U, and like I don't get that nervous on camera or public speaking normally, but I remember my legs shaking pitch side. Like because I just didn't want to stuff up, right? Because I was so worried that I'd be given this opportunity, which was amazing. And if I stuff up, they could. Now, I probably played it too safe early on. It took me a while to get really confident because I just didn't want to make mistakes that they'll say, oh, we're not going to use you anymore. We're going to look for someone else. But I was nervous. But after a few goes at it, you get better and you get more confidence. And yeah, mate, it was just the stuff of dreams. Like, mate, for example, we used to have the best seats as a broadcaster at a lot of stadiums to be pitch side. To get to my seat at Anfield, I literally had to walk through the tunnel under the This Is Anfield sign. Like a Liverpool mad fan from grew up in Perth, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? This is nuts. I'd walk back through the tunnel at halftime to do my pieces and then after the game, and it's bizarre. And he had that experience at most grounds. Incredibly fortunate.
If there's one moment or one mad story or whatever from your time there, what sticks out? I like asking this to most guests, and people say, oh, it's fucking lazy, but I'd rather let the guests tell it.
No, it's fair. I mean, look, some of the interviews, like interviewing Balotelli, Mourinho, and there were a lot like John Terry and Gerrard and Lampard and Rooney, and like all the guns we got to interview. We were rights holders, so we had the access. We had to apply. I didn't always get it, but it meant that we were a good chance, and we got a lot of those interviews because we were rights holders. But Balotelli and Mourinho were just like, they were big ones because you don't know what's going to come out of their mouth. But all the pitch side experiences. But being there for Leicester's title, that was my last season. That's the one that comes to mind first because that was just the most ridiculous sporting story.
Yeah.
And to be there, I mean, it's sort of just past the halfway mark of the season. It really had bubbled. So you were there kind of every second week at home games, right? And just watching it build, and the whole world just started to gravitate towards Leicester, which is a pretty boring city, it must be said. But all of a sudden, you've got every single press conference just packed for a Ranieri presser in the games. Watching that unfold and then being there the night they won the title was out of this world.
Is there one game where you were pitch side and you thought this is the most intense atmosphere I have ever experienced?
Yeah, well, just to build on that as well when you answer, what is the best stadium for atmosphere and then the best stadium to actually watch a game?
So to watch a game, they're all pretty similar. Look, going to Anfield as Liverpool fans, unbelievable, of course.
Atmosphere-wise?
Experience-wise, atmosphere is very good, but experience-wise, of course, Old Trafford and the Emirates and the Etihad are all great. My favourite stadium is actually St James's Park.
Newcastle.
Real steep, huh?
It's real steep on the one side, but it's also in the middle of the city. So both stadiums in Liverpool, both stadiums in Manchester, it's like 20 minutes out, right?
Yeah.
So you get off the train and you catch a cab, and Newcastle, you get off the train, you can walk to the stadium and you feel the vibe, and that stadium has great character because of the one big side, the one small side, and they're mental. Like the Geordies are just nuts supporters.
loud.
Then you walk out and you see all the Geordies going out for a Saturday night, and everything you've seen on Geordie Shore is accurate. So there's that vibe to it, and they're nuts about the football. So that's probably number one. The atmosphere is pretty similar all out. I love Stamford Bridge. I love a lot because I know you're a big Chelsea fan. It's in between the new fancy stadiums and the old ones.
Yeah.
It's got a court in between a bit. So it's got that old rickety, like when they score, like you hear the wood hitting the metal on the
Matthew
on the
Harding
seats,
stands.
and that sound is really authentic. And also they make the best halftime media spread of any sporting ground I've ever been to in my life.
Oh,
so always fun memories
My
of Stamford
club.
Bridge.
Where's the best scran? That's
Always,
a good question.
always good
My
memories
club.
of Stamford Bridge for that reason. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that even to touch on that, like obviously I'm a Chelsea fan, but I did a few stadium tours, and I didn't even watch a game at Anfield. I did a stadium tour, and it was about 3 degrees. It was dead silent, and when I walked out onto Anfield, I was like, "This is fucked." Like, because the guys just like, let's just take a moment, everyone just, and you just. It was around the time of that Barca and Liverpool game, the comeback.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking all this shit that's happened in this stadium, and it was dead silent. There was a fog on the. I was like, this place is it's got aura.
Well, you asked me about the most intense atmosphere, mate. The Gerrard slip game I was at.
Oh, no.
Chelsea, huh?
So, I mean, I'm a Liverpool fan, obviously, so that killed. But like, the build-up to it was that Liverpool season was out of this world. And mate, the football Suarez, Sturridge and Sterling played with Coutinho was just some of the best football you've ever seen in your life.
Yep.
I mean, Suarez live is...
Yeah.
I actually think he's an underrated footballer.
I
don't
agree.
think we talk about him...
I absolutely agree.
I don't think we talk about him in high enough esteem, probably because of all the other shit with him.
Yeah.
But, I watch highlights of him all the time and I'm like, this guy was... and he was. He's Barcelona record.
Probably the most purest footballer I've ever seen.
Completely. He was a street fighter footballer.
So they say like he's bitten people, racist comments, done all this stuff, and people still love him.
And,
It's like, well, maybe.
And the best part is
one of
he's
the best
bitten
ever.
people, been racist, and denied all.
I really don't understand how he denied the Ivanovic
No,
one.
no, I'm
like
not
it's
sure
very fucking
And then to heighten Suarez, remember, speaking of Ghana at the World Cup, he did the handball.
Oh, yes.
Ghana missed the penalty.
That was great, I reckon. Like, people criticise him. They're like,
his
why are you
goal.
criticising him?
It's going to be a goal anyway.
He did the best thing possible. He took a punt and it paid off. But so the lead up to that Chelsea game where Liverpool beat City and they go to the top and they're going to end the drought and Gerrard's involved. There was so much energy around the football they were playing in the story. And then the Gerrard slip was a big part of it. That gets spoken a lot about. But the way Mourinho set Chelsea up that day, he took all the sting out of it. He slowed it down. It was the darkest arts of football. And Schwarzer was in goals for Chelsea that game.
Yeah, we spoke to him about it.
You would have, and I've spoken to Schwarzer a lot, obviously, about that. And mate, it was all a ploy. Like, let's be as slow as possible. If you cop a yellow card, take the ball from one point of the 6-yard box to the other one, just piss them off, right? And it worked. And it's sitting there pitch side after the Gerrard slip was... Mate, that atmosphere was just something else. And Mourinho is giving it to the crowd. And
There's something about those kind of situations when something negative happens for a team and you're in the stadium, that it's a different feeling of like intensity, isn't it?
Well,
than
that's the
aggression of like sadness is
You can capture an emotion of a city in a football stadium in the Premier League. Like, you can feel tension.
Yeah.
You can feel happiness. You can feel unrest, like it's really obvious.
With no disrespect to England, a lot of these towns are shitholes. And people don't really have much to look forward to. I've said this so many times on the pod, but if the football team's doing well, everyone in the town's probably doing well.
Yeah.
Like that's the reflection of it. Did you say 2011 to 2016?
Were you London the whole time?
yeah, it's based in London.
what a period of football.
It was a
England.
fantastic
Goated Premier League period almost.
Yeah, it was
fantastic.
before social media took over as well, which was actually a positive.
Yes, fantastic era.
Well, Was there other Aussies in London at that time?
Yeah,
Schwarzer?
a few. Oh, players?
Yeah, players.
Yeah, well,
players.
Schwartzy was doing ever so well. Timmy was still flying for Everton for half of that period. You had Brad Jones played a fair few games for Liverpool. Brad Smith came on and played for Liverpool in a game. Yeah, there were a few, but Millet was there for a while.
Yeah, Millet, that was peak
Millet got
Millet.
the move to Palace, and mate, sitting there as an Aussie, watching him walk out with the armband at Selhurst Park was awesome to witness. So,
Did you?
there were a few.
Sorry to make you relive it. Any blunders on air that live with you, or you were pretty? Because I always, when I was watching you, like
Yeah.
you said, I always thought to myself, this guy is just good at his job. He doesn't take too many risks. He's not there to stir shit. He's just has a task and he completes the task.
Yeah, there's no major blunders, thankfully. There is a moment where in an interview I got it wrong, which is quite a funny story. So we did a piece at St George's Park, which is England's base, right? And it was just about them setting up their own football base. And I went over there and there was an interview with Gareth Southgate, which Bozza teed up, right? And it was actually quite the whole story was pretty dry. Like, there was nothing much to it. So I was trying to find a funny angle or something that would kind of get it going. So I interviewed Gareth Southgate, and part of the place, everything was set up for special things. So you could set pieces in one part of the ground, and you could do penalties here. And so I said to Gareth something like, I don't want to be personal here, but penalty is going to be kind of important in this setup. And he goes, and Gareth Southgate missed a penalty at the Euros for England in 1996. And he said, well, if you don't mean it personally, then what do you mean? I went, oh, fuck.
Oh, wow.
And he wasn't happy with that.
Dude, he got scapegoated for that too.
And
that
I wasn't
penalty.
happy. Yeah, but in my defence, and this is why I thought it would be fine, he did an ad with Stuart Pearce and David Batty, the three players to miss penalties for England at big tournaments, in a Pizza Hut with sort of brown bags over their head to cover a funny piss take of what they did. So I thought, you've had a joke about it.
Yeah.
20 odd years later, surely you'll have a laugh.
Yeah.
But no, he wasn't willing to. So
there you go.
Anyway, but not too many, thankfully. But that's one that comes to mind.
Man, so how did that role come to an end, I guess? It just wanted to come back home?
We lost the rights in 2016, Fox.
Obviously, yeah.
And I could have stayed, but I had 5 years. I'd done absolutely everything.
Yep.
I did want to come back home just because, as great as it was, I wanted to live in Australia. It's a better country to live in. And I thought, if I'm not going to live here forever, and I've done it all, 5 years is way more than I thought. The rights have just moved to Optus. Yes, I can maybe stay in some capacity, but maybe I'll have to be a video journalist or go a bit more freelance. I just thought at my stage in life, I was in my sort of early 30s then, it was time to come home. And I'm happy I did. It's been great here covering football too.
So I was reading on the Football 360 site that you are Australia's representative for the Ballon d'Or voting committee.
Yes, I am.
Is it just one person?
There's one person from each country, one journo.
How'd you get that?
Weird story. So I remember getting an email asking me to do it, and I assumed it was a prank because I'm like, what the fuck? From France Football, can you be the Ballon d'Or judge? And I remember reading it 5 times, is this real? It can't be, right? So I responded yeah, I'd love to do it, and got an email back, great, you're in. I was like, how did this happen? I think it's because it was just after the 2018 World Cup. We played France, and I was mingling with a lot of their journos. Because, you interview each other about each other's team before the game, and you get to know them. And I imagine that there was a vacancy. Don't know why. And one of them recommended me. That's my assumption, but I don't actually know.
So you don't actually know how you've become that. You've just become now the face of the Australian Ballon d'Or.
I imagine
votes.
that's how it happened. So I've done it for the last, almost about 7 years now.
So for those who don't know, how does the process work of voting? What do you actually have to do yourself? And then... Because every year something comes out and I always forget how they fucking accumulate it, but I know it's through journalists and stuff.
Yeah. So you get sent the nominees, which is 30 nominees, a criteria, and then you vote. It used to be 5-1. Now it's a top 10. And you just give them points from, your best player to your 10th. Only the 10 players get votes out of the 30s, and every single country around the world votes, and that's it. And then they accumulate them together. So there is a lot of responsibility because you don't want to stuff it up for your country. You're representing your country. And everyone sends it around when some nation does a stupid vote, right?
Yeah.
So look who Algeria voted for, or look who Burkina Faso voted for, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to be laughed at. So there's a bit of pressure to get it close to right.
What is the criteria? If you can, I'm sure it's longer than
individual,
what you can do, but
individual quality is number one, like individual exploits over a season. Your team exploits count for a lot, nation and club. Obviously, the way in which you conduct yourself on the pitch is part of it, but it's mainly your individual exploits. But they do take into account your achievements. So World Cups generally count for a lot. That's why you know, the World Cup winners often in the Ballon d'Or. And so it should. It comes once every 4 years. Pressure. Euros count for a lot, but it's individual and team achievements and how influential that player was in their team or club's exploits, and you balance that out against how good they were individually if they weren't in as strong of a team, of course.
Do you remember, or are you even allowed to say who you voted for?
You're not allowed to until it's out.
What about the previous years? Do you remember?
I remember some of them. I can't remember the 5 to 1 for all of them.
Have you ever voted for someone who didn't win the Ballon d'Or that you thought should have?
Yes, I voted for Lewandowski when he came second the 1 year to Messi, and part of that was because he got robbed in the COVID year, you might remember.
Oh, yep.
He would have won it easily.
Yeah.
And then they cancelled it because there wasn't enough of the season played. And the year after, I thought it was really close, and I gave it to Lewandowski. Messi ended up getting it. There was a lot of outrage over that. The 1 year that stands out is when Van Dijk lost by 8 votes to Messi. And it was a really tight one, and I voted for Messi, I remember, and Liverpool fans were like, mate, I'm like, I support him, but I've got to vote for who I think is the best.
He's a good man for the job.
As good as Virgil
French
was, I'm
Football
like,
Association.
it's still...
They're like, Messi's not shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that always annoys people. Go, it's always the same people.
Yeah, like he's not shit, he's pretty good.
Yeah, everyone always goes, it's always the same people. You know, I'm like, yeah, because it's fucking Lionel Messi, mate. Like, he's talking about the greatest footballer of all time, and if it's not him, it's been Ronaldo, who's probably the second greatest footballer of all time.
Exactly.
I think the voting more often than not is pretty much spot on. And you know, Dembele won it this year, Modric has won one, Benzema's won one. It actually has rotated since Messi and Ronaldo have dropped off.
Do they fly out? Like, do you go to the ceremony? No, they don't. That'd be cool, though.
You get an invitation, but you got to pay for your own.
Yeah, fucking tight asses.
Yeah, man. Budget's low with the Ballon d'Or, huh?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah, I'm sure it's so low.
Depends which table you're looking under.
Yeah, I'm sure it's so low. I've never actually watched one live because, I mean, I think the closest a Chelsea player came would have been, I think Lamps came third. Like 05 or something. I can't remember.
So you just mentioned Lamps. Do you know the Lampard story in the A-League well?
What?
You don't know this?
What?
I mean, it was reported on at the time.
Give
I thought
us
you
something,
might.
Garby.
You know Frank Lampard, a deal was done to send him to the A-League. Do you not know that?
No, don't tell me.
Where's this article gone?
So this
I mean, it must be online.
No,
but
this
that
was,
just
it
shows
was
our
a
journalism
story
skills.
at the time, but because he signed from Chelsea to New York City.
I remember.
So similar to David Villa, there was a break between the English season and the American season, and they had to fill in some time. David Villa came to play for Melbourne City, right? The same deal was done for Lampard to play for Melbourne City, right?
Oh, that would have killed me.
But what happened was, and this is like just sums up, unfortunately, some of the mistakes that Australian football has made and the A-League has made, because it was just after Del Piero, Heskey, Ono, and then David Villa, we got a little bit complacent with how good things were. And the other club said, Melbourne City can't do that because they're circumnavigating the rules in order to get these players in. They're using their sister clubs, right? So it actually got kiboshed by the other clubs. I sat with Frank Lampard, and then he went to Man City because they had nowhere to send him. So they just went to Man City.
And played well.
Played well.
scored against us.
Mate, he won the league with him.
Yeah.
Played just about every game. I sat with him at the Etihad and said, like, was the deal done? He goes, the deal was done. I was keen to go. I was happy to go. Frank Lampard, fresh off being a dominant player for Chelsea, had a deal done to the A-League, and it got kiboshed because the other clubs weren't happy with the rules. Can you imagine that today? You just rewrite the rules in a second and say he's in, right?
Yeah, oh my
Because using your sister clubs is a genius strategy.
But who cares? It's Frank Lampard to the A-League. Who cares if they win it by 10 points?
Yeah.
You've got Frank Lampard running around. Everyone's going to benefit.
My God.
Why would you do that?
And he was wow, because I remember at Melbourne Man City, I'm thinking, like, is this going to be? He was
So
class,
just went
man.
to Man City.
Yeah, he just went him on the prem.
Yeah.
He just went him on the prem. Bro.
I was crushed when he scored against us. We lost 2-1. I think he scored the winner.
That's crazy,
And
man.
even at 36, he would have been so far and above the quality in the eight. Like this guy, man.
But he was, like, you talk about marquees, like Del Piero was transcendent. Lampard would have brought an extra 15,000 through everywhere
Seriously.
he went.
Yep.
And you had the City Football Group backing it. So who cares, right? Just,
Oh wow, that's a killer.
Yeah.
That's a killer. Hey, Garb, I spoke to you before. I'm sorry to segue off this, but I do want you to speak about this because I found it so interesting when you brought it up. But we talk about the A-League now, and to be fair, man, like credit where credit's due, the games on the weekends have been unreal to watch. Anyone can beat anyone, which
Be
I know
careful, Jakey.
you're critical of, but like they are entertaining. So, but given where the structure of the league's at, I guess the financials in the league, you're seeing a trend from what you told me with where football's at now in this country to where the NSL was at towards its back end, which generated the golden generation.
Yeah, more with young players. So what I think has happened, there's three things that have happened, right, with our young players coming through, because we've got a really good period now of youngsters coming through, both here and around the world, that's improving the Socceroos. Three things are happening. First, they're getting opportunities, right? So that's great. I mean, COVID, that started because the finances got stripped back, so you've got to play youngsters. Don't have money to firstly bring in better quality foreigners and recycle experienced Aussies. It's rather play a kid than give a bloke who's 25 another go at another club. So they're getting that exposure. Secondly, the academies are starting to kick in. So I know you went to the AIS, but there was this outrage when the AIS got ripped apart. That produced so many great players. Why are we doing that? And they did that because they wanted the clubs to have their own academies and blossom those players through to the senior team without losing them then to the AIS. And that's starting to work, whether it's by accident or by design. We're getting some good talents coming through that are getting better coaching than what they've had in the past. And the standard is rising. But I think the most important factor in terms of our young players then progressing well in Europe and for the national team is there's a bit of desperation that I reckon was existent in the latter stages of the NSL for our best talents because the finances are dropping off. So when the NSL fell apart and our best players went overseas, there was no plan B. They had to make it. A lot of them have said, like, there was nothing in Australia for me. So no matter how cold it got, no matter how much the manager didn't rate me, no matter how shitty my teammates were to me, I had to find a way to stay in Europe. I might have to leave clubs, but I can't go back. And there's a bit of that happening now. No disrespect to the A-League, which is great, but because the finances have dropped, players are persisting, I think, in Europe more. And if it's not working out first, rather than maybe when you guys are playing, you just call back and you get me a deal at an A-League club, good money, nice stadium, good weather, friends and family there. No, I've got to persist in Europe. Get me a move somewhere else here. I'll make it work. And they're bursting through that barrier better than before. And I think that's helping them become better players, but also it's helping our depth in our national team.
I think, sorry, just what I was going to say to add to Garby's point for people that the comprehending, like one of the reasons why Rashid and I didn't get games in the A-League was not necessarily because of the imports. Yes, the imports were amazing, but you had Mark Milligan in front of you. I had Dario Vidišić. It was the Australian players, middle-aged in the Socceroos, coming back on big money as like whether it was a reset, whether it was needed to get games in, whatever it was. Those guys now, like for instance, you look at Mo Toure or Cassini Yengi, who probably were in positions where they're looking for other clubs. They're not even thinking of the A-League. They're staying overseas.
Mo just to sign for Norwich.
Yeah, correct, right? Like that's the strategy and thinking to Garby's point.
And Cassini hasn't come back to Australia. He's gone to Japan. But I think there's 2 points I want to make. The first one is everyone talks about how much harder, the guys were back in the 90s of like your Aloises and all that, going to Europe, dealing with the most fuck shit and just persisting. Yes, football's changed, but I think football is a reflection of society changing because I feel like everyone in the 90s was harder or whatever. And it's just going to translate into football. The second thing is as well, they didn't have the social media scrutiny back then. So yes, they may have persisted through, I guess, more intense coaching, more cutthroat approaches. I don't know now if any of the young lads are cleaning boots and stuff like they had to do in the fucking 90s because they had to do that shit.
I actually heard John Joe Shelby, this is not his gen, he's a bit more old school, but a funny story about this is when he was 16, he was on a bus for, I don't know what club he was at first, but someone asked him to go make a cup of tea and he told him to go get fucked.
yeah, wow.
Yeah, that's a little bit of this gen now. It's like, I don't know what it's like. I'm not privy to the training sessions, but I remember like after every training session dreading it because I had to get all the balls and cones.
Cones and shit, yeah.
Like no matter what.
But wasn't that like, didn't that help develop you when you were younger a little bit?
Cozzy was renowned and every training session, youngies versus oldies, and the youngies would just get obliterated and lose confidence. Yeah. And then everyone would just bark on us. And
I think so. My point, I guess, I want to make is that they didn't have to deal with the scrutiny of social media. They weren't getting DMs from random accounts saying, go off yourself, which players deal with now. So I think it's
true, but they were also lonelier. Social
true.
media
So
helps
it's a
you
balance.
connect, mate.
Yeah, yeah.
You're playing in some,
Can't call your mates.
small city in Italy.
That's right.
And you can't speak the language, and your
Yep.
teammates don't want to talk to you because you're a threat.
Yep.
That is tough, mate. I remember Kevin Muscat telling a story about Adrian Layer going to Fulham, and he said this at the victory night, the awards night I was at, and he said, mate, the guy's standing in his room counting the bricks in his bloody hotel room right now. He's that lonely.
He's that bored.
To plug an old episode, John Aloisi, anyone wants to hear a story of that, that is one of the craziest stories you'll ever hear about loneliness and figuring it out and being isolated and it turning around after years.
At a great Johnny story. One of the things I got to do when I was in Europe, we had the La Liga rights on Fox for a year.
I remember,
So I
yeah.
did an El Clasico, pitch side at the Bernabeu.
Oh, Garby.
I mean, this was just, even then I'd experienced so much and it blew me away stuff. So cool. Ronaldo and Messi in their prime going at it, like different level. And Johnny was our expert before the game, doing the cross with him. And I just said to him, mate, can you imagine like playing in the stadium? Because he played in the league. I mean, playing in the stadium, like how good? He goes, play in the stadium. He goes, mate, I scored in that goal.
Yep. At
the Bernabeu.
They won 3-0.
He scored against the Galacticos.
And I actually, I followed Johnny's career well. I knew he'd played in Spain, but I didn't know he scored against Real Madrid. And I actually went like, imagine that today, an Aussie scoring against Real Madrid. It would go bananas.
Oh my God.
But
We'd
because
do a
we
whole
had-
fucking episode on it.
But because we had Kuhl and Maduka and we were so Premier League focused and Timmy, Johnny kind of people didn't take notice of what he was doing in Spain. And he was that friggin' good.
He's a
and we
club
talk about the
legend.
penalty a lot, but mate, if he was in the national team now without a Vidišić in front of him, he'd be the captain, he'd be the poster boy, he'd be the best player by a mile. Like he was special.
Yeah.
That's 100% true. He's like, even La Liga back then, look at like how good it was. We were focused on other things. But I think even to the point you were making of trying to stick it out, I feel like now it's not just Europe. The MLS now has taken how many fucking players from the A-League recently, right?
And that never happened.
And then Asia gets involved now, even the Middle Eastern countries with all the money. So back in the 90s, maybe it was just Europe or bust. Whereas now you can play football anywhere in the world at a good level.
Yeah.
So that does play into it as well.
I actually got a message last night from someone who has an affiliation with like English agents, tapping them up to find out who an agent was of a player for an MLS club.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I have to connect the dots. So like that would never have like, I don't know why that's come my way, but
You put in a 10% clause or?
Oh, depends how much the transfer fee is, and I might have to. But still, like shows the best young talent now, so arguably, is gone to America.
Yeah.
Like
it's
Harrington's
America.
gone. Who else is gone?
Kai Truan.
Truan.
O'Neill's there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's been a few. Guys, I think we'll wrap it there in terms of time, but we are going to continue with Garby on Patreon and we're going to get stuck in to what the fuck we're doing at the World Cup. The Patronies, you don't want to miss this one. People, if you're not on there, head to our Patreon. Our chief Patreon officer will look after you. As I am the cock, he is the CPO.
Chief of
The way he looked at you when you said that.
Can you imagine him as
Never heard
LinkedIn
that
chief
one
of
before.
content in brackets? Cock.
Yeah, chief of content.
Never seen that on LinkedIn before.
Also, guys, 5 stars on Spotify, please. We really do appreciate it. It helps us climb up the rankings. Like, comment, subscribe on our YouTube. Let's get those subscribers to 10K. Check out our Patreon, please. Trust me, because you don't want to miss the lead up to the World Cup and then specifically what the hell we're going to be doing in America. You heard at the start of the episode where we're going. Rashid's going to fight a bear. We might just put it on Patreon. So that's what we're doing. I think that covers us, guys. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Garby. You're a
Garby.
legend, mate.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. So good to be on.
Legend.
Appreciate it, man. Awesome stories, man.
Suited and booted, we out.